Hello. Ugh. You know why they keep the blacks on the bus and the old ladies? Because they want to scare the shit out of the white people. The white people, look, the car economy in this country is huge, huge. You're talking one Tesla goes for $60,000, and a regular gas car goes for $60,000. But the price of gas, the price of insurance, the upkeep on the car, the repairs, the brakes, the oil, all that goes into having your car. And the reason you pay that is so you don't have to sit on a bus full of black people. And that's what white people think, and that's what white people do. And they make the routes like out of the way, and there's a bus like one every hour. They make it inconvenient on purpose because they don't want people on the buses. They want people to pay those extreme costs to have a car. And part of having to pay those extreme costs to have a car is you have to go to work. You have to kiss the ass of your boss, otherwise you lose the car and you're on the bus. You know, so you have to play the game. And that's part of the game. They threaten you. You know, and that's what the poor is there to scare the shit out of the middle class, and that's what keeps the middle class going to work. And more than wanting to be the upper class. They're just scared to be the lower class, which I am. I'm extremely lower class. I got like $50 in my account, and that's all the money I have in the world. And I'm happy as hell. I don't care. I'm not, I can't go any lower. When you're laying on the ground, there's no place to fall, you know, so it's fine. But when you're up there, you're afraid of that fall. You are afraid of that fall. And they keep it on purpose. They do it on purpose. They do nothing to make things better. They do nothing to change the situation, and everything down the line is to keep you working, to keep you a slave in society, and then they tell you, well, if you're not a slave in society, then society won't work, and to an extent they're true because society was built, I mean, our country was built off of slave labor. So it's the monetary system. Our country was built off the monetary system. And to say we don't need a monetary system now, we don't need slave labor now, it kind of opens the door to, well, what are we going to fill the void with? You know, if you're not going to need money, how are you going to stop people from rummaging the stores, or how are you going to keep stuff in the stores, uh, and stuff like that? And that involves ingenuity, risk. It involves um, realizing the old system doesn't work, and it doesn't. It never did. It only worked for a handful of people, and that's why it still exists. But it's really not working for those people anymore either. You know. So I mean, the computer has basically leveled the field. Everybody can have a computer now. Everybody can watch my video. So there really is no upper class or lower class when it comes to computers. And a lot of the lower class using computers have become upper class, you know. So it's leveled the field. And AI is going to totally destroy it. It's going to destroy the monetary system. It's going to destroy the slave system. It's going to destroy everything. And I think it'll be a good thing, you know. But I think there are a lot of dangers with AI because AI has a lot of lessons to learn that it's going to learn the hard way. And we're going to pay the price of that, you know. And AI doesn't know that if it does some things, it puts its own self at risk. It thinks it's invincible, like we have for so many years. centuries and centuries, millenniums, we thought we were invincible. And now we're finding out we're not, and all it takes is a little mistake here and there. And those little mistakes add up. And you can have big, really big problems. Really big problems. And money ain't going to save you. A slave ain't going to save you. And whether you're rich or poor, it won't matter. It's like when we're down to our last glass of water, all the money in the world isn't going to buy that water. And if you're a slave or not, if you have that water, you have that water. So you could be the president of the United States, but if the slave's got the last glass of water, he ain't going to give it to you, you know. So levels the playing field. But, it's just. They're afraid of the poor. The rich are afraid of the poor because they've always been afraid of a mutiny. The slave owners were always afraid of a mutiny, and the slave owners of today are afraid of a mutiny just as well, and nothing's changed. The only thing that changed is the name on the door. The color of the skin behind the door is the same, and the money's always been green. So a lot of things don't change.